Tonight we present
The ghostly figure of Lake Ladoga. September 1941, Lake Ladoga area, Soviet Union. The icy wind howled, carrying with it the echoes of artillery fire and the roar of airplanes. The siege of Leningrad had plunged the region into a state of despair and chaos. In the dead of night, a group of exhausted, starving refugees found themselves at the shore of the lake, desperately searching for an escape route. Suddenly, a ghostly figure, shrouded in a faint glow, appeared before them. The figure, seeming to float above the ground, motioned for them to follow. With no other choice, the refugees, trembling with fear and hope, decided to follow the apparition. Lake Ladoga, Europe's largest lake, lies in the northwest region of Russia, near the city of Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. In September 1941, the city was under siege by German forces in one of the most brutal episodes of World War II. The siege of Leningrad lasted nearly 900 days, causing the death of hundreds of thousands of civilians from hunger, cold, and constant bombings. The only escape route and supply line for the city's residents was via Lake Ladoga, known as the Road of Life. Conditions were extreme. The freezing cold, lack of food, and constant threat of air raids made each day a struggle for survival. Refugees attempting to cross the lake faced a treacherous journey, hoping to find safety on the other side. Amidst this despair and suffering, stories began to surface of a ghostly figure that appeared in times of great danger, guiding refugees to safe places. Lieutenant Nikolai Petrov, a Red Army officer in charge of coordinating evacuations across Lake Ladoga, received reports from several refugee groups claiming they had been guided by a spectral figure. At first, Petrov dismissed these accounts as the result of fear and desperation. However, as more and more testimonies aligned in detail, he began to wonder if there was something more to these stories. Petrov decided to investigate personally. One night, he joined a group of refugees preparing to cross the lake. As they slowly made their way over the ice, a snowstorm began to batter the region, reducing visibility to nearly zero. It was then that Petrov saw the figure for the first time. Shrouded in a soft glow, the apparition seemed to float above the ice, moving with a supernatural grace. Without hesitation, Petrov and the refugees followed the figure, which led them through the storm to a safe spot on the opposite shore. Intrigued and puzzled, Petrov began collecting testimonies from other refugees who had seen the figure. The stories were consistent: an ethereal figure, bathed in light, that appeared in moments of great danger and guided refugees to safety. Some described the figure as a woman, while others saw it as a man. All agreed that the apparition conveyed a sense of calm and protection. Petrov also consulted with the elders of the region, who told him of ancient legends about guardian spirits that protected travelers in times of peril. According to these legends, the spirits would appear in human form to guide the lost and helpless to safety. Although skeptical by nature, Petrov couldn't shake the feeling that there was a connection between these old tales and the recent sightings. To delve deeper into his investigation, Petrov decided to visit the Valam Monastery, located on an island in Lake Ladoga. The monastery, known for its rich history and ancient manuscripts, might hold clues about the ghostly figure. The monks, though initially hesitant, agreed to show him some of their oldest texts. In one of them, Petrov found a reference to a guardian of the lake, a protective spirit that appeared in times of great need. One night, while reviewing reports at his command post, Petrov received an unexpected visitor. An old man, his face marked by wrinkles and eyes full of wisdom, asked to speak with him. The man, who introduced himself as Ivan, claimed to have seen the figure several times throughout his life. "It's not just any spirit," Ivan whispered. "It's the soul of someone who sacrificed everything to protect their own. Their mission isn't over." Petrov, intrigued but still skeptical, decided to listen to Ivan's story. What the elderly man revealed left Petrov with more questions than answers, and a sense that the mystery was far deeper than he had imagined. As the war raged on and the siege of Leningrad grew increasingly desperate, Petrov knew he had to uncover the truth behind the ghostly figure of Lake Ladoga. Lieutenant Nikolai Petrov could not stop thinking about Ivan's revelations in the ancient manuscripts from the Valam monastery. The idea that the ghostly figure might be the spirit of someone who had sacrificed everything to protect their own was both fascinating and unsettling. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Petrov arranged a meeting with his superiors to discuss his findings. However, before he could present his report, the lights appeared once again, this time in broad daylight. The inhabitants around Lake Ladoga gazed in awe as the figure moved among the trees, guiding a group of refugees to safety. The daytime appearance of the figure sparked a wave of rumors and speculations among the local population and troops. Some believed it was an angel sent by God to protect them, while others thought it was the spirit of an ancient Russian warrior. Petrov, for his part, continued his investigation, interviewing more witnesses and gathering any available information. He discovered that the figure not only appeared during bombings, but also in moments of great tension and danger for the refugees. One soldier recounted how he had seen the figure during a German night raid and how it guided his unit to a safe location. Meanwhile, the bombings continued, and the situation in Leningrad became increasingly dire. The morale of both the troops and the civilian population was at its breaking point, and the uncertainty surrounding the figure only added to the tension. Petrov knew he needed answers, and quickly. He decided to contact an old colleague, Professor Dmitry Ivanov, an expert in paranormal phenomena and Russian mythology. Ivanov, intrigued by the reports, agreed to travel to the region to assist in the investigation. Ivanov's arrival brought a new perspective to the mystery. After reviewing the reports and ancient manuscripts, Ivanov suggested that the figure could be a manifestation of an unknown energy, something that modern science could not yet explain. However, he also warned that this energy could be dangerous if not handled properly. Meanwhile, Petrov and Ivanov continued their investigation, uncovering more historical accounts of ghostly figures in the Lake Ladoga region. One night, while exploring a cave along the shore, they discovered a series of ancient inscriptions on the walls. The inscriptions, written in an unknown language, appeared to describe a ritual for summoning the figure. Ivanov, excited, suggested they try performing the ritual to see if they could communicate with the entity behind the figure. Petrov, though skeptical, agreed, and together they began preparing for the ritual. The ritual took place on a moonless night, deep within the cave. Petrov and Ivanov, along with Ivan and a few trusted soldiers, followed the instructions from the inscriptions, reciting the ancient words and performing the gestures described. At first, nothing happened, but suddenly, the figure appeared in the cave, glowing with a blinding intensity. Petrov felt an overwhelming presence, as though an ancient and powerful intelligence was watching them. The figure began to communicate, not with words, but with images and sensations. Petrov and the others saw visions of the region's history, of invasions and battles, and how the figure had protected the people throughout the centuries. They also saw a warning. The figure was there to protect, but if its power was abused, it could turn against those who tried to control it. With this revelation, Petrov understood that the figure was not just a natural phenomenon or a legend, but something much older and more powerful. The visions showed Petrov and his team images of a distant past, where ancient civilizations had tried to control the power of the figure, only to be destroyed by their arrogance. They saw how the figure had guided the region's inhabitants through natural disasters, invasions, and wars, always protecting those who respected its power. Petrov felt a mix of awe and fear, realizing they were dealing with a force that transcended human understanding. With the mystery resolved, Petrov and Ivanov decided to keep the true nature of the figure a secret. They informed their superiors that the figure was a harmless natural phenomenon and advised against attempting to interfere with it. The figure's presence remained a mystery to most of the region's inhabitants, but those who knew the truth understood they were being protected by an ancient and benevolent force. As the war continued, the figure continued to appear in moments of great danger, guiding and protecting the people of the region. Petrov, now convinced of the existence of forces beyond human comprehension, dedicated himself to studying other unexplained phenomena around the world. The story of the ghostly figure of Lake Ladoga became a legend, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, mysterious forces watch over humanity. Petrov and Ivanov continued their collaboration, investigating other paranormal and mythological phenomena in different parts of the world. Their discoveries, though often misunderstood and ridiculed by the scientific community, contributed to a greater understanding of the mysteries surrounding humanity. The story of the ghostly figure of Lake Ladoga became an iconic case, studied and debated by experts and enthusiasts alike. Ultimately, the story of the ghostly figure of Lake Ladoga reminds us that, although science and technology have advanced greatly, there are still many mysteries in the world that defy our understanding. And perhaps, in these mysteries, we find a connection to something greater and older than ourselves, something that protects and guides us in our darkest moments.
The Noctillion. Tonight we present
The Secret Laboratory of Warsaw. April 1942, Warsaw, Poland. Amid the shadows of the ghetto, clandestine agent Jakub Kowalski cautiously navigated a narrow underground passage. The air was heavy with dampness and the smell of mold, but what he found at the end of the tunnel was far more disturbing. Before him lay a secret Nazi laboratory filled with scientific equipment and scattered documents. In the center of the room stood a stretcher with leather straps stained with dried blood. A shiver ran down Jakub's spine. What inhuman experiments were being conducted here? Warsaw under Nazi occupation was a place of despair and resistance. The ghetto, established in 1940, housed hundreds of thousands of Jews in inhumane conditions. The city, divided and under constant surveillance, was a cauldron of tension and fear. In this oppressive environment, the Polish resistance fought to survive and sabotage the enemy. Jakub, a member of the resistance, had discovered the tunnel by accident while searching for an escape route for the ghetto's inhabitants. The Warsaw Ghetto was a place of indescribable suffering. Its narrow, overcrowded streets were filled with desperate people struggling to survive each day. Food was scarce, and disease spread rapidly. The Nazis controlled every aspect of life in the ghetto, enforcing curfews and conducting constant raids. Amid this oppression, the Polish resistance worked tirelessly to undermine Nazi control and assist the ghetto's prisoners. The discovery of the laboratory was not only unsettling but raised urgent questions. Jakub knew he had to report it to his superiors, but he also realized that every moment mattered. He decided to investigate further, searching for clues about the experiments being conducted there. He found jars of chemicals, documents in German, and photographs of individuals subjected to tests. Among the papers was a letter signed by a Dr. Heinrich Müller, detailing experiments on ghetto prisoners. Jakub realized he had stumbled upon something far greater than he had imagined. The documents mentioned complex scientific terms and references to genetic experiments. The photographs showed people with expressions of agony and despair, some bearing visible deformities. Jakub felt a mix of horror and determination. He knew he had to stop these experiments at any cost. As he gathered some documents to take with him, Jakub heard footsteps approaching. He hid behind a pile of crates and watched two uniformed men enter. They spoke in hushed tones, mentioning something about Project Umbra and promising results. Jakub held his breath. After the men left, he emerged from his hiding place and hurried back to the ghetto. That night, during a secret meeting, he shared his discovery with other resistance members. The news of the laboratory and its experiments caused shock and horror. The resistance decided they had to act swiftly. Jakub and a small group of agents planned to infiltrate the laboratory to gather more evidence and, if possible, sabotage the experiments. However, just as they were about to leave, a traitor among them revealed their plans to the Nazis. Jakub was captured and brought to the laboratory, where he came face to face with the sinister Dr. Müller. "Welcome, Agent Kowalski," Müller said with a cold smile. "It seems you'll be our next test subject." Jakob was strapped to the stretcher at the center of the laboratory. The cold light of fluorescent lamps illuminated his sweat-drenched face. Dr. Heinrich Müller approached with a syringe filled with an unknown liquid. "This serum is the result of years of research," Müller said. "Let's see if you're strong enough to survive." Jakob closed his eyes, bracing for the worst, when suddenly, an explosion shook the laboratory. The resistance had launched a surprise attack. Amid the chaos, Jakob managed to free himself from the straps and join his comrades. The resistance had come prepared, armed with explosives and stolen weapons. While the Nazis tried to defend the laboratory, Jakob and his team headed to the archives, where they found more documents on Project Umbra. They discovered that Müller's experiments aimed to create soldiers with superhuman abilities using ghetto prisoners as test subjects. The resistance knew they had to act quickly. While battles raged in the laboratory, Jakob and his team gathered as much information as possible. They found experiment logs, serum samples, and photographs documenting the horrific side effects of the experiments. Test subjects exhibited signs of mutation and insanity. Jakob was filled with horror and resolve. These experiments had to be stopped at all costs. Meanwhile, resistance members fought fiercely against Nazi soldiers. Explosions and gunfire echoed through the laboratory corridors. Jakob and his team found a secret exit leading to an underground tunnel. They decided to use this tunnel to escape with the evidence they had collected. However, they knew they couldn't leave the laboratory intact. They placed explosives in strategic locations to ensure Müller's experiments couldn't continue. Just when they thought they had everything under control, a group of Nazi soldiers burst into the room. In the chaos, Jakob was separated from his team and once again found himself face to face with Müller. "You cannot stop the inevitable," Müller said, revealing a device emitting a blinding light. Jakob felt intense pain and lost consciousness. When he woke, he was in an unknown location surrounded by hooded figures speaking a strange language. Jakob soon realized he had been transported to a secret facility where Müller's experiments had advanced far beyond his worst fears. The hooded figures turned out to be scientists working for Müller, perfecting the serum to create an invincible army. However, Jakob discovered a fatal flaw in the serum. Those injected eventually lost their sanity and became uncontrollable. Armed with this knowledge, Jakob managed to escape and return to the ghetto, where he shared his findings with the resistance. The resistance quickly organized a coordinated attack on the secret facility. Using the information Jakob had gathered, they infiltrated the site and sabotaged the experiments. They planted explosives in the laboratories and freed the prisoners who had been subjected to the experiments. The final confrontation was brutal. The Nazi soldiers defended the facility fiercely, but the resistance was determined to stop the experiments at all costs. Jakob faced Müller in hand-to-hand combat. "You cannot stop progress," Müller shouted as he tried to inject Jakob with the serum. But Jakob disarmed him and destroyed the serum. With one last effort, he activated the explosives and escaped the facility just before it exploded. Jakob's final report detailed the horrors of Project Umbra and the bravery of the resistance. Although many lives were lost, they succeeded in destroying the laboratory and halting Müller's experiments. However, the report also warned that some documents and serum samples had disappeared, suggesting that the Nazis might attempt to continue their experiments elsewhere. The story of Jakub Kowalski and the clandestine Nazi laboratory became a legend, a reminder of the dark secrets that war can hide.
The Noctillion. Tonight we present
The Lights of Pearl Harbor. December 1941, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. In the hours leading up to the devastating Japanese attack, U.S. Navy sailor Jack Thompson, assigned to the USS Arizona, witnessed something that left him baffled. While conducting his nightly patrol on the battleship's deck, he saw strange lights underwater, moving with a precision and speed that didn't match any known submarine. With his heart pounding, Thompson decided to report to his superior, convinced he had seen something extraordinary. Pearl Harbor in December 1941 was a critical naval base for the United States Pacific Fleet. Tensions in the Pacific had been rising, and although rumors of a possible Japanese attack circulated, life on the base continued in seemingly normal routines. Sailors and officers carried out daily duties, keeping ships and equipment in a state of readiness, but without an immediate sense of danger. The USS Arizona, a Pennsylvania-class battleship, was moored in the harbor alongside other warships. On the night of December 6th, the base was quiet, with only the occasional sound of waves and murmurs of sailors on patrol. In this atmosphere of apparent calm, Thompson spotted the lights beneath the water, a phenomenon he could not explain. Still shaken, Thompson reported the sighting to his immediate superior, Lieutenant Robert Harris. Harris, an experienced and naturally skeptical officer, listened to Thompson's account intently. "Are you sure about what you saw, sailor?" Harris asked, frowning. It could have been a reflection or some kind of diving equipment. Thompson insisted the lights were neither reflections nor diving equipment. "They moved too quickly and with too much precision," he said. "It wasn't something natural." Though doubtful, Harris decided to investigate further. Together, they headed to the bridge to inform the USS Arizona's captain, Franklin Van Valkenburg. Captain Van Valkenburg, a man of great experience and composure under pressure, considered Thompson's and Harris's report. "It could be an enemy submarine," he said, weighing all possibilities. "We need to be on high alert. Harris, organize a reconnaissance patrol and ensure all defense systems are ready." As the reconnaissance patrol prepared to investigate the lights, tension aboard the USS Arizona grew. Aware of the potential threat, the sailors moved with urgency and efficiency. Thompson, still unsettled by what he had seen, joined the patrol, determined to uncover the truth. Equipped with searchlights and sonar, the patrol began exploring the waters around the USS Arizona. Yet, they found no trace of the lights. The sonar detected no submarines or foreign objects. Frustrated, Harris decided to expand the search to other areas of the harbor. Meanwhile, Thompson couldn't shake the memory of the lights. He decided to speak with other sailors and officers, hoping for information that might explain the phenomenon. He learned that some sailors had heard rumors of similar sightings in other parts of the Pacific, though no clear explanations emerged. The patrol continued searching late into the night, but uncovered nothing. Exhausted, Harris called off the search and returned to the USS Arizona. "There's no sign of those lights," he told Thompson. "It could have been anything, but we'll remain vigilant." Despite his disappointment, Thompson knew he had seen something real. Determined to uncover the truth, he resolved to continue his investigation. That night, as the USS Arizona prepared for another routine day, Thompson's mind remained fixed on the mysterious underwater lights and their potential meaning. The first phase of Thompson's investigation raised more questions than answers. What were the lights he had seen? Were they a warning of an imminent attack or something more mysterious? Thompson knew he had to keep searching, even if every step brought him closer to an unknown danger. The morning of December 7th, 1941, began with apparent tranquility at Pearl Harbor. Yet for Jack Thompson, the unease from the previous night lingered. Determined to find answers, he approached Lieutenant Robert Harris to discuss their next steps. Harris, though skeptical, recognized Thompson's determination and agreed to support his efforts. Meanwhile, Captain Franklin Van Valkenburg ordered continuous vigilance at the harbor. The possibility of an enemy attack couldn't be dismissed, and all defense systems were to remain ready. Thompson and Harris reviewed sonar logs and ship logs from recent days, searching for signs of unusual activity. As the morning progressed, their findings became unsettling. Sonar records showed spikes in activity during the hours leading up to the light's appearance. These spikes didn't match any known submarines or Allied ship movements. Alarmed, Harris expanded the investigation and consulted other experts at the base. Lieutenant Commander William Anderson, a naval communications expert, was called to examine the records. Known for his meticulous nature and technical expertise, Anderson was intrigued. "These activity spikes aren't normal," he said, adjusting his glasses. "They could be signals from some kind of unknown technology." Thompson continued questioning other sailors and officers, uncovering more rumors of similar sightings in the Pacific. One sailor spoke of lights near Midway Island. Another recounted an incident in the Philippines. While no concrete evidence surfaced, the accounts were disturbingly similar. Just as Thompson and Harris believed they were close to a breakthrough, the unthinkable happened. At 7:55 a.m., Pearl Harbor was attacked by Japanese aircraft. Explosions and gunfire filled the air, and chaos erupted. The USS Arizona was among the first ships struck, and Thompson found himself in a desperate battle for survival. Even amid the chaos, Thompson couldn't stop thinking about the underwater lights. Were they a warning? Were they somehow connected to the attack? As he helped his injured comrades and struggled to stay calm, Thompson vowed to find answers, no matter the cost. After the attack, Pearl Harbor lay in ruins. The USS Arizona sank, claiming many lives. Thompson, though wounded, survived. He was taken to a field hospital, where he received medical care. Despite his injuries, his determination to uncover the truth remained steadfast. While recovering, Thompson was visited by Lieutenant Commander Anderson. Also shaken by the attack, Anderson had continued investigating the sonar records and the strange lights. "I found something," Anderson said, showing Thompson charts and data. "The lights you saw weren't natural. They might have been advanced technology, possibly even extraterrestrial." Surprised but not dismissive, Thompson agreed to collaborate with Anderson. Using the data gathered before the attack, they traced the source of the lights to a location on the harbor floor. With a diving team, they explored the site and discovered a partially buried metallic object emitting a faint glow. Anderson's analysis revealed the object didn't match any known technology. "This could be a monumental discovery," he said, both awed and apprehensive. As they prepared to recover the object, they were confronted by surviving Japanese soldiers. An underwater skirmish ensued, forcing Thompson and Anderson to fight for their lives. Their final report detailed the attack on Pearl Harbor and the mysterious object. Though many lives were lost, they recovered the artifact and thwarted the soldiers' plans. However, fragments of the object disappeared, hinting that others might continue experimenting elsewhere. Thompson's story became a legend, a testament to courage in the face of the unknown. Despite the loss, his actions inspired others to resist. His experience at Pearl Harbor changed him forever, driving him to protect humanity from unseen forces. The tale of Pearl Harbor's lights was retold through generations, reminding everyone that the fight isn't just against visible enemies, but also against invisible forces threatening the world's stability.
The Noctillion. Tonight we present
The Uranium Project. August 1944, Berlin, Germany. On a dark and stormy night, the lifeless body of Dr. Klaus Reinhardt, a key scientist in the Uranium Project, was found in his laboratory. The scene was grim. The corpse lay on the floor, surrounded by scattered papers and destroyed scientific equipment. Most puzzling was the look of terror on Dr. Reinhardt's face and the inexplicable burn marks on his body. Gestapo officer Hans Muller was assigned to investigate this mysterious murder. Berlin, in the summer of 1944, was a city at the heart of the Third Reich, but also a place of growing tension and paranoia. The war was at its peak, and Allied bombings were a constant threat. The Uranium Project, Germany's secret program to develop nuclear weapons, was vital to the Nazi war effort. The scientists working on the project were closely monitored, and any sign of sabotage or espionage was dealt with severely. Dr. Reinhardt's laboratory was located in an underground facility, secured by multiple layers of protection. Only a select few had access to this restricted area, making his murder even more unsettling. Hans Myhler, a Gestapo officer known for his meticulousness and cold demeanor, understood that he had to solve this case quickly to prevent panic from spreading among the project scientists. The murder of Dr. Reinhardt raised many questions. Who could have gained access to the laboratory? What motive could there be for killing such a valuable scientist? Myhler began his investigation by interrogating Dr. Reinhardt's colleagues. He discovered that the scientist had been working on a highly classified experiment related to nuclear fission. Some colleagues mentioned that Reinhardt had been acting strangely in the weeks leading up to his death, as if paranoid or frightened by something. Myhler also examined the laboratory for clues. He found Dr. Reinhardt's notebook, filled with incomprehensible formulas and diagrams. Among the pages was a half-written letter addressed to someone referred to as her doctor, in which Reinhardt mentioned making a disturbing discovery that needed to be communicated immediately. The letter ended abruptly, as though the scientist had been interrupted. As Myhler delved deeper into the investigation, the tension mounted. He discovered that Dr. Reinhardt had been in contact with a group of dissident scientists who questioned the ethics of the uranium project experiments. These scientists, led by Dr. Friedrich Weber, had mysteriously disappeared weeks before Reinhardt's murder. Myhler began to suspect a connection between these events. Furthermore, Myhler found reports of strange lights in the sky near the underground facility. Some guards claimed to have seen shadowy figures lurking around the area at night. Although these accounts seemed implausible, Myhler could not dismiss them. He decided to follow every lead, no matter how far-fetched. Myhler also uncovered that Dr. Reinhardt had been researching a rare mineral known as black uranium, which supposedly had unique properties. This mineral had been discovered in an abandoned mine in the Harz Mountains, and Reinhardt had been obsessed with its potential applications in nuclear fission. Myhler decided to visit the mine to search for more clues. The visit to the Harz mine proved revealing. Myhler found an improvised laboratory in a hidden cave, complete with scientific equipment and samples of black uranium. Among the documents was a letter from Dr. Weber to Reinhardt, mentioning that black uranium had properties that defied known physical laws. Weber warned that using this mineral could have unpredictable and dangerous consequences. Just as Myhler was about to leave the cave, he heard a noise behind him. Turning, he saw a hooded figure watching him from the shadows. Before he could react, the figure vanished. Myhler felt a chill run down his spine. He knew he was close to uncovering something significant, but also that he was in grave danger. The first phase of Myhler's investigation raised more questions than answers. What had Dr. Reinhardt discovered about black uranium? Who was behind his murder? And most disturbingly, what role did the strange lights and shadowy figures play in this mystery? Myhler knew he had to press on, despite the growing risks. Hans Myhler returned to Berlin with a sense of urgency. The trip to the Harz mine had revealed crucial information, but had also raised new questions. Determined to unravel the mystery, Myhler went directly to his superior, Obergruppenführer Heinrich Himmler, to report his findings. Himmler, known for his interest in the occult and paranormal, listened intently as Myhler described black uranium and Dr. Weber's warnings. "We must investigate further," Himmler said with a calculating look. "This black uranium could be the key to winning the war, but it could also be a threat if it falls into the wrong hands. Myhler, you have carte blanche to continue your investigation. Find those dissident scientists and uncover what they know." Myhler began tracking the missing scientists, following leads that took him across Berlin. He discovered that Dr. Weber and his group had been secretly working to sabotage the uranium project from within. They had left a series of encrypted messages in strategic locations, which Myhler managed to decode with the help of a Gestapo cryptography expert. The messages revealed that Weber's group had uncovered something terrifying about black uranium. Not only did it have nuclear properties, but it also seemed to be connected to paranormal phenomena. The scientists observed that the mineral emitted a strange energy that affected the human mind, causing hallucinations and erratic behavior. Fearing that the Nazis would use this energy to create mind control weapons, Weber's group decided to destroy all black uranium samples and disappear. Mahler also collected testimonies from individuals who claimed to have seen shadowy figures and strange lights near black uranium storage sites. These accounts aligned with reports from guards at the underground facility. Although skeptical by nature, Mahler could not ignore the mounting evidence that something extraordinary was occurring. As Mahler approached the climax of his investigation, he received an urgent call from an informant. The informant, a scientist who had worked with Weber, revealed that Weber and his group were hiding in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of Berlin. Mahler immediately organized a raid, taking a team of Gestapo agents with him. The raid was swift and efficient. The agents stormed the factory, capturing Weber and his colleagues. However, just as Mahler believed the case was closed, Weber made a shocking revelation. "We're not the only ones interested in black uranium," Weber said with desperation in his voice. "There are others, beings from another world, who are also after it. We've seen their ships and felt their presence. They are the ones who killed Reinhardt." Mahler was stunned. The idea of extraterrestrial involvement in the uranium project was difficult to accept, but Weber spoke with a conviction that couldn't be ignored. Mahler decided to take Weber and his group to a secure location for further questioning. During the interrogation, Weber and his colleagues provided chilling details about their encounters with the alleged extraterrestrials. They described bright lights in the sky and humanoid figures that seemed to dematerialize and reappear at will. They also mentioned that the extraterrestrials appeared to be interested in black uranium for its unique properties. Though skeptical, Mahler couldn't dismiss the consistency of the testimonies. He decided to return to the Harz mine with Weber and his team to investigate further. Upon arrival, they found the cave in disarray, as though it had been recently ransacked. However, they managed to recover some black uranium samples and documents that Weber had hidden. While examining the documents, Mahler and his team discovered a series of coordinates that appeared to indicate the locations of other black uranium deposits in Europe. They decided to follow these leads, hoping to uncover more answers. However, just as they were about to leave, they were ambushed by a group of Nazi soldiers sent to reclaim the black uranium. The confrontation was fierce, but Mahler and his team managed to escape with the samples and documents. They knew they had to act quickly to prevent the black uranium from falling into Nazi hands. They decided to destroy the samples and send the documents to the Allies, hoping they could use the information to dismantle the uranium project. Mahler's final report detailed the horrors of the uranium project and the unsettling revelations about black uranium. Although many lives were lost, they succeeded in halting Mahler's experiments. However, the report also warned that some documents and samples of black uranium had vanished, suggesting that the Nazis might attempt to continue their experiments elsewhere. The story of Hans Müller and the uranium project became a legend, a reminder of the dark secrets that war can conceal. The report was sent to the Allies, who used the information to dismantle similar facilities across Europe. Mahler's courage and determination were recognized, inspiring others to join the resistance. However, Mahler never forgot the horrors he had witnessed. He knew the fight against darkness was far from over and resolved to continue fighting for a future free from the terrors of war.
The questions don't end here, nor does our pursuit. If this story unveiled something you never expected to discover, then you're in the right place. Remember to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this tale with others who, like you, are drawn to the unknown. Here, mystery always finds its voice, until we meet again, where the inexplicable will once again serve as our starting point.